Welcome to episode 4 of the Hoodie and Ozz pod, which is the second
true
episode with a name.
With the brand, yeah.
This is the 4th episode of this kind of show. Before we kick it off, because we're going to talk about the weekend that was in sports. I think the weekend that was, we hung out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We went and saw
WWE SmackDown.
Pat Mack.
SmackDown. Shout out to Pat.
So, insight. I have guys that I listen to every day, and I'm deep into. His guy is Pat Mack by far, and I love Pat McAfee as well.
Absolutely.
So, when we went, listen, we both grew up big WWE fans in general.
Fell off for quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Quite a while.
I've swooped in and out because I've, done stuff like this with people who watch it, or even I just have friends that, watch WrestleMania every year. So I watch it with them.
I can't lie. I probably haven't watched. In the past year though, I have downloaded Peacock and then so WWE Network.
Okay.
I went back and watched all things Attitude Era.
So so I've actually done that before too. I've gone through the whole Attitude Era.
And since I started listening to Pat and really following Pat, I watch SmackDown as much as I can every single week.
So. And in general, Pat's super invested in the old era.
The Attitude Era, absolutely.
A lot of his references.
He's only a few years older than us, so
a lot of his references are to that.
Stone Cold, The Rock, absolutely. All the goats.
Right. So, anyway, we went. It was in our backyard, basically.
Hershey, PA, the Giants Center.
It took us only a couple minutes, actually.
Yeah, literally 10 minutes
from his house there. So it was fun. It was awesome. We went with my buddy. It was a real good time overall.
Absolutely. We had perfect seats.
I was just going to say, the next part of the story.
Yeah, the crazy experience ever.
We pop in, we walk over, and we get to our seats. And where our seats were, we couldn't really see where we were, but clearly we were going to kind of
it was going to be an obstructed view.
Behind where the stage is coming out, and then ring's going to be over here. So we get up there, and the lady's like, oh, you guys aren't going to sit here. And I was just like, well, this is where our seats are. And she was like, no. And she hands us an envelope with, what were we, 15, 12 rows behind the production crew?
Yep, right behind the Fox Fox News crew. So that was super dope.
So we were just watching, them do the monitors, and, we watched the
whole production.
Yeah.
Got some incredible videos if you check out the social media.
Yeah, for sure. And Pat, he was electric, entertaining as always.
Electric. We got to see the McAfee Minute in person, which was awesome. Happy birthday to Michael Cole. We sang
happy birthday. Yeah, we did.
I thought it was really dope that the Hershey Bears players gave Pat the McAfee jersey.
We kept looking because we saw these people interacting with them, and then
the whole time
he held up a Hershey Bears McAfee jersey, which that was awesome.
I found out after the fact that CFO Phil from Pat's best friend was there. I
did see how you made the trip.
Him and Little Phil were there, so it was definitely cool to see my man work, see him in action. It was electric though. Brock.
I was just about to say. So for when we were just talking about the era that we did watch, right as I was tapering off, Brock was involved. With a little bit of
he was one of the last,
Yeah, he was there, but
he was one of the last guys. Him and Cena were kind of when I fell off.
Yeah, me too. So,
but I still love those guys.
Absolutely. So I've always loved Brock though, just in general. I like the story outside of the WWE.
Absolutely.
He's always been one of the best characters at the WWE.
Yeah, he's just always pissed off.
Right, they play into it so well, and he does such a good job with it. Anyways, so
I was a big Brock fan in UFC too.
Right, so while we were there, I thought one of the coolest, to me, my favorite part outside of Pat, because Pat was awesome, but he was a show in and of himself. But my favorite part in general really was Brock just throwing everybody around the ring.
Busting people's faces with metal tables.
He took 8 dudes. Yeah, he took 8 dudes and just kind of tossed them all. It was awesome.
He threw the ass of the chair at the dude's face. Yeah, shit was unbelievable. He was definitely fun. Electric when he came out. Yeah, the whole.
Shit was awesome. The whole place. He got an awesome pop.
Big E, New Day on the 4-wheeler.
Yes, they got a big pop.
He wrecked that shit into the wall.
And then they pulled it back, and then it was like they couldn't start it, and then they got it going. Yeah, that was funny. But that was part of what we got to see. On TV, they weren't showing those guys mess with it. Yeah. We were watching the ring crew,
the live production
pull
crew.
It back, like had to pick it up, move it, and then they had to try to figure out how to get it started again.
They were fucking with the spark plugs.
Yeah, because they were pulling they pulled all the spark plugs out. You could see them turning the key a couple times. Yeah. They were like arguing, and then they got it going.
Yep.
New Day won, and they rode it off in the sunset. So
yeah, we woke up that morning. We weren't even thinking we were gonna go.
Yeah, we had a couple conversations, and I think that's one of the cooler parts about something like that, especially with being that close to us.
It was in our backyard.
Literally, it was like one of those, we had a conversation, it was like, maybe we're not going to go, but like, he just hit me up that day.
I woke up, I checked Facebook, well, no name drops, a marketplace where they sell things, and I checked it out, saw just an hour ago a lady posted it, I messaged her, she was like, yeah, I still have them, I'll let my husband, I'll reach out to you. I found out I had to download this special app to transfer money that I never had before, set up bank accounts, all types of crazy shit. But I was dedicated. And then when we got there and they handed me an envelope of tickets.
Worth everything.
I mean, to be honest, like the value of those tickets before we went in there were astronomical compared to what I paid. So
like a lot more, yeah.
It was a great deal. It was a great time.
It was awesome.
And I always enjoy watching professionals perform.
Well, me too.
So whatever that means, whatever that is.
Just growing up and having an understanding and appreciation for it, and then you love sports like I do. So watching athletes do athletic things,
sure.
No matter what it is, even if it's just jumping off the top rope, it's still pretty awesome. And some of those guys did some really awesome things, and women. Some of the women were awesome.
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, athletic left and right, everybody.
Acrobats.
So, absolutely.
So much fun to watch. Still, as I sit here at 30 years old, it's so much fun to watch.
It is so much fun to watch. And if you get, we understand it, so you get a little invested in the storylines, it is fun. It was pretty cool. One of the other things for the people who do like wrestling, it was the road to WrestleMania. So we actually
got to see
we got to see the actual road to WrestleMania.
That's what Brock and Roman signed, the contract for the main event, which
huge deal.
But he pointed out to me, the boy Pat Mac's going to be calling the main event on Sunday night at WrestleMania.
The main event,
so that's electric. That's
Pat McAfee's going to call.
Fucking awesome. Shout out my guy, man.
So
keep doing what you're doing, dog.
For the people who aren't here for the WWE
or Pat McAfee,
you're
here for the Hoodie and Ozz pod.
Yeah, the Hoodie and Ozz pod. We're going to move on to some sports over the weekend, and that was Friday. What we went to.
Yeah.
Saturday, an historical event happened. 7 of the top 10 college basketball teams lost. First time in the history of college basketball that happened in one day.
Yeah, and the first time my bank account went down as fast as it did in FanDuel in the history of my bank account in FanDuel.
Oh, that's rough.
Dude, I mean, come on. These teams are supposed to be getting the fuck ready for these games, getting ready for the tournament.
Let me put it to you this way.
And we got these assholes losing.
The number 1 team.
They deserve to lose. They deserve to.
You've been talking shit on them for a while.
Go to a conference, and then I will give them all the respect in the world.
Well, I'm an Notre Dame fan, so I have to kind of. But I agree. Gonzaga should go to a better conference.
Notre Dame's not in the conference by name, but they play them.
It's a different conversation, but you're not wrong.
They play them.
Money-wise, too, it's a different conversation. Gonzaga would actually benefit from going to a different conference.
Absolutely.
In a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. Where Notre Dame does not benefit by going to a concert a conference. As a Notre Dame fan, I'm sure we'll definitely talk about that at some point. Always going to talk about the Irish. But Gonzaga lost to St. Mary's. Did not expect that to happen.
But St. Mary's gets them once a year.
You're right.
It seems like they, St. Mary's, Murray State. There's a few teams.
You're right.
Who are looking like they might.
So what I like about St. Mary's,
juggernaut.
and you pointed out they get them, often enough. St. Mary's is like that buffer school in their conference that gets all the people that didn't go to Gonzaga. So
that's exactly.
It kind of works out for them. But also number 2, Arizona, they lost to Colorado.
Yeah, that game was electric, dude. The Colorado student section, they were electric. Zona, they went in there obviously thinking about the Pac-12 tournament and thinking to the road ahead, and Colorado's not so fast.
And so these both they were the top 2 seeds by far going into the tournament. The next 2 seeds though, Auburn, they lost to Tennessee, but we did talk about that last week that we thought that would probably
that's an interconference.
The way the SEC and even going into
so is Gonzaga, St. Mary. That's interconference.
But the SEC has been a juggernaut this year in basketball, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, it's been really high level.
And then as we talk about their tournament's going to be exciting, but before you even get there, you got this. But then the next seed underneath them, Purdue, they lose to Michigan State. And I always believe in Tom Izzo until not, but I need to stop thinking he's just gonna win in the Big Ten because he's Tom Izzo. I've never been the biggest Tom Izzo fan, but that's only because I don't just like Michigan State in general. But I mean, yeah, listen, he was great for a long time, and I'm with you. Like, it was just kind of expected. But yeah, I'm with. You're also right. Like, it's not happening for them. They're not even ranked this year.
No, they're not. They fell off the map. They played a really good game week 1 or in like the opening tournament.
Yeah, I remember.
I believe they won.
They beat a top team.
Yeah, and then boom.
Kansas or Kentucky, right? Kansas.
I think it might have been Kansas.
But you're right. Yeah. And then what else happened?
Kansas. Speaking of Kansas,
yes,
Kansas lost
Baylor
to a Big 12 matchup. Baylor.
Now we had talked before. Baylor, even though they fell off,
Baylor's
to Texas last week or the week before. Baylor's been good for.
Baylor has been good. Baylor has been good. I need something to play with.
And then Kentucky lost to number 18 Arkansas. We both have talked about
SEC.
We're both on the Kentucky train though. I think Kentucky's a really good team.
They're really good.
That's going to give them value going forward in the postseason though for both tournaments.
Yeah, no, I mean
I'm talking betting.
Yeah, I think it's great though that Kentucky they're going to really go through like a buzzsaw of a conference tournament. So out of Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, like whoever comes out of that tournament is going to be battle tested. They're going to be ready to make a run.
And we've talked about this before. I still think we've talked about this on air. One of the things with Kentucky that I really like is, this is one of those teams that really show like how Calipari does understand the one and dones. Like he might go through waves, and for a while he coined that market. But like we've talked about it before, like he's done it with so much. I don't want to say grace, but in college basketball he did it with so much grace to get to this point. And even though they did lose, and even though they're number 6 and probably fell or whatever after that, they're still going to be a team that you don't want to mess with.
They always are.
Right.
Even when they're like a number 9 seed.
Right.
They're always very scrappy. Pretty sure they made the Final Four a couple years ago as like a very, very not like a low seed, but a low seed for Kentucky.
They weren't 1, 2, or 3, right?
Absolutely. And I always looked at it like this. Coach Cal brought the one and done thing to light, and then because of Coach K's link to Team USA and the youth, that's when he was, he got that influx of Jahlil Okafor, Tyus Jones, Justice Winslow, Jabari Parker, all those kids that played for those
on the USA under U18 teams. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's kind of where Duke kind of overcame Kentucky in the one and done race for a while, but now I feel like it's wide open, and with the G League and these guys going to be able to make money, like
you can do the G League. There's other, I know, doesn't LeVar have a lower league, and then isn't there like
across seas, like
overseas, right? They do all that stuff too. So
yeah, exactly,
absolutely, and Cal rides the waves or whatever. So
and he's an excellent coach.
Well, I think even a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken, they went to the NITs and they like housed everybody.
Yeah, no,
just to
they
prove
did.
a point.
Yeah,
they housed everybody. So
they did.
That's a Cal move.
That's an absolute. That's just being pissed off.
Right.
Just
trying to prove a point. So Texas Tech though, number 9, they lost to TCU. Moving on.
Jamie Dixon, always been a great coach.
Yeah.
I actually did hit this one. Jamie Dixon is. I've been watching him since his Pitt days, so he's always been very scrappy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very scrappy.
So like
back
I said,
in the real Big East.
Back
when it was Syracuse, Pitt. When we were growing up, those were my favorite tournaments. They're my favorite tournaments. Georgetown, UConn, Syracuse. Yep.
Oh man, you're right. Those
6 overtime games on a Tuesday or on like a opening night of the Big East tournament.
So I have this is an off topic, but this is why we're doing the show.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no agenda really.
I have a friend.
We do have a baseline, but there's really no agenda.
So I have a friend. He just knows our family from going to a local bar that we go to. He's 10 years older than me, pretty much almost exactly, right? But he loves Philly sports like I do, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, he loved Allen Iverson when Allen Iverson was in college, even before this guy went to Philly. He saw Allen Iverson versus Ray Allen at Georgetown. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Crazy. Talk about all Big East. That's when it was like fighting.
My grandpa used to go every year on like a boys trip. Every year the Big East tournament of Madison Square Garden.
That's the tournament.
With Madison Square Garden.
That is the tournament.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. How awesome. So, so that's the college basketball Saturday round.
Yeah, that's that was huge. Huge.
I could be off, and you might know. Does Duke play North Carolina this weekend?
They do.
Okay, so we're getting to the end
Coach
of the season.
K's final game.
We're at the end of the season.
Against UNC. If you got extra $5,000, you can go.
I'll watch it on TV, but I'm definitely watching that on TV.
I'm watching the above the rim cam.
Absolutely. I love that cam. I love that. And do you watch the Sky Cam for football?
Sometimes, yeah.
I watch the Sky Cam for football. I fell in love with that because you can see the whole field.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's incredible.
The only thing I don't like about it is they don't sync up any good broadcast ever to them.
The only thing I don't like about it is the refs don't use it.
You ain't wrong. So, the reason I brought up, though, Duke, North Carolina, not just that game, but the end of the season. So we're here. We're only that close to all the tournaments.
I think one more week until Selection Sunday. So I think next week is the tournaments.
Okay,
yeah.
So all the conference tournaments, speaking of big tournaments.
Huge. I love how they start on Tuesday afternoon.
Yes. I think Notre Dame. Oops. Yeah, there's Des
always
dropping
Des.
it.
Again.
It is always Des.
Dude, what the hell?
He's the problem. He's always been the problem, hasn't he? Yeah. Listen, Rock. I mean, Des and I are, we're cool there.
Same team.
Yep, yes we are. But, so the reason I was saying all that, though, we were talking about all the old tournaments and whatnot, but the ACC tournament, the SEC tournament, I think both of them are going to be absolutely insane.
The Big 12 has a couple teams in the top 25.
The Big 12, the Big 10. I mean, we have a lot of good tournaments coming up here. But I think Notre Dame won the ACC regular season, so that was... or they were up there. They were in the top 3.
I believe Duke.
Did they outbeat them?
I think if Duke wins this week,
I saw them printing shirts, so I thought they won it.
Maybe. See,
I don't know.
There's that thing. Yeah. No, we'll follow up
absolutely. Well, the season doesn't technically end until Saturday, so next week we're gonna talk about.
I'm sure that's probably what they'll. Stay tuned.
And we'll give you, actually, next week we should probably be able to preview some tournaments because the
absolutely
tournaments will start as we're having coming on.
Yeah, we'll have a deep look into absolutely some of the big tournaments.
So stick with us for talking basketball.
As you'd mentioned.
So, we're going to stay on basketball.
Stay on the hardwood.
SmackDown was probably my favorite part of the weekend, but I have to have a co-favorite part of the weekend. As a Sixers fan,
the co-main event.
Listen, and I'm gonna get this part out of the way right now, all right? Because my favorite line today was, well, all they did was beat the Timberwolves and beat the Knicks. Listen, they beat the Bulls without James Harden, and they beat the Bucks without James Harden right before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
So I don't need to hear about who they're playing anymore.
No,
I just want to see how they're playing now.
And they look good.
Do they? Okay. Because I was told they were gonna be stale offense, ISO ball. James Harden was gonna,
28 assists in 2 games. I,
directly after Sunday's game, looked it up, and I tweeted it, the Hoodie and Ozz pod. 275 games Ben Simmons played with the Sixers. He had 17 assists once.
Ben, you're not welcome on this show.
He had over 16 assists one time. He had 16 or more assists one time in 275 games. In 2 games, James Harden did that. So, it's 16. So... I mean, I think it's working. It's early.
I think it's working. Everyone looks happy. Joe looks
open. Everybody looks open.
Joe's dunking from the foul line. Joe is dunking from the foul line. Well, I mean,
he looks like a monster. Like, so there's a joke that goes around Philly. They call him Godzilla. Like they say Joel Embiid's Godzilla. He's looking like Godzilla in some of those moments. Like he is.
My buddy told me today that shout out my boy. I don't know if he wants his name dropped, but shout out my boy. He told me that Joel Embiid forced 5 fouls on 2 centers for the Knicks in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
I mean, he was just cooking, dude.
So, like, my favorite part was everyone's complaining. I can't think of the person who it was on Twitter, but somebody was complaining about how LeBron in 6 games hasn't had as many free throws as Joel had on Sunday. And I went out and looked. LeBron shot 50 3-pointers in those games, right? So like, if LeBron went to the rim, he'd probably get the same amount of calls. Because I love LeBron, but I'll be honest, he gets the star call just like Joel does and James Harden. But it doesn't bother me because if you're actually fouling them like within the rules, then it is what it is. And they're going to go to the line. And if that's their game, then like, listen, I'll see you on Broadway.
Yeah.
You can complain about it while they're carrying the Larry O down Broad Street.
Yeah, because... absolutely. Yeah, because Joe just, it opens up the floor for everyone. Man.
So, like, Maxi's wide open, and even Thibault, I mean, nobody claims he's the best shooter in the world. He's there for defense for the most part, but he's a solid offensive player. But he's even getting open looks.
Exactly, and if those guys can really, really develop a shot.
Yes.
I mean, or just knock down shots that come their way.
If Maxey can do half of what he's done in those 2 games with James Harden, I mean, Sunday, I did watch Friday, I rewatched it Saturday morning, but Sunday, what he did on Sunday was he was hitting shots with people in his face, buzzer running down.
He looks so much quicker.
Yeah.
Because of the pace that everyone else on that team plays.
Yes. Speaking of Cal, I mean, one of his guys running around crazy.
Huge recruit.
And he's fast. Like you said.
He's electric.
The Sixers actually tweeted a video, and they said this is not in fast forward. And, like, he did. He looked like he was cruising like
it's
that
crazy
fast.
they have to specify.
They're like, this is not fast. Because he was looking that fast in the video.
Yeah.
So just 2 straight games that everybody, I think, starting to look comfortable. It is only 2 games in, so I don't want.
Joel has over 70 in those 2 games.
And like I said, I'd love to rub it in everyone's face with Larry O'Brien going down the stretch. We will see going into the playoffs, but at the end of the day, my biggest thing when they traded Ben for Harden, and even before he played a game, I said I felt like it was a win just because one player was sabotaging them and the other player's coming to try to win a championship.
They've already gotten more out of James.
But now, 2 games in.
And certain stats ever out of Ben.
Exactly. And 2 games in, he's already putting up numbers that Ben, as great as Ben was at times, I was a Ben Simmons defender until he decided to do what he did against the Hawks there at the end of last season. I was a huge Ben defender, but he's still, this is a different Joel Embiid. I mean, this is a different Maxey. This is a different everybody.
Different Harden.
It's a different Harden too, that's for sure.
They were calling it Madison Square Harden, I heard, on Philly radio.
I mean, I love
That's incredible.
I love it.
That's
incredible.
It.
So.
And I would say one of the only threats to them in the East is Chicago. DeMar, 10 straight games of 30 points.
One of my favorite stories
He's really hooping.
Is DeMar Rosen. I remember one of the stories I heard when he got traded from where was it? From Toronto.
Toronto, yeah.
He said he sat outside a restaurant and cried for like a half hour or something like that.
I'm sure.
He didn't say a word, didn't talk to nobody, and then I remember when he went to San Antonio. It almost is like, as great as Pop is, it almost like wasn't like the perfect fit. It was a fit.
It definitely.
DeMar can hoop anywhere, right? But
his services weren't being clearly utilized.
But then he gets to the Bulls, and I mean, listen, I don't know if the Bulls, as you said, they are a threat. I don't know how much of a threat to the championship they are, but they are a sleeper.
They're the 1 seed now, so
right,
at least got to catch them.
I'll give you that.
At least got to catch them.
But they're well above expectations, clearly.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're a solid team. I mean, they've
passed DeMar.
They've been impressive.
And I will throughout the years, and we'll hopefully do this long enough that we're able to make fun of each other for the misses. So I'll always talk about the misses, but I got Lonzo right. I was in everyone's ear talking about how I thought that he was going to be perfectly fine.
He's
a
system guy.
I love his game.
He's a system guy. If there's a guy that can get buckets,
it was just to me like at UCLA, there was enough there that I thought that the hype and I understood the conversation on that was what it was. But I meant if you're just talking about solid NBA player for the next couple of years, I figured he could do that.
I struck out on Lonzo because
I was for him. I was
not
Lonzo.
a chance.
I was for him. I didn't like the dad.
Yeah.
But I was for LaMelo too.
Oh, I love LeVar.
I love LeVar too.
LeVar, you ever want to come on the show? You're more than welcome.
I'll be the first to tell you, I wasn't a LeVar hater, but I wasn't a LeVar fan. I love LeVar now.
Look at his vision.
Listen, when you're right, you're right, and when you're wrong, the world needs to admit they're wrong.
Yep.
And LeVar was right. There ain't no question. I was a huge fan of LaMelo too coming out because I was already on Team LeVar at that point. So
absolutely, I love LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo's fun, man.
He's fun.
Not to make Alonzo conversation with LaMelo as always, but
he's a G and he's good at.
Yeah,
he's a bucket. He's definitely a bucket. Sunday was crazy in the NBA too.
Sunday was wild
with the
outside of the Sixers.
Yeah, more upsets. Yeah.
Yes.
After 1 p.m. Actually, I guess the 1 and the 3 game kind of went. I kind of had Utah because Chris Paul's out.
Yeah.
So
I didn't watch a whole lot of that game because I was watching the race, but I did keep tabs on it.
I flipped back and forth.
You're right though because Utah being better, I did see that coming as well.
That wasn't too surprising. Golden State against Dallas though, that was.
Man, I gotta tell a story. So my kid and I'm trying to get him to bed. I'm watching that game, and I said, all right, you know what? It's 15, 20-point game. I'm like, all good. It is what it is. Let's go to bed. So I turn everything off, and him and I fall asleep. And I wake up, in that 15 or 20 point lead.
Oh, they came storming back.
I missed it. I went to bed.
They came storming back.
But I did see all the highlights. Crazy. Luka is
just.
Yeah, I mean he let it, and then
the Lakers.
I mean, arguing with fans.
They looked bad.
Arguing with fans.
Yeah, it's bad. The whole vibe, the whole feel. Everyone's pissed off.
Listen, I love LeBron, but
I love LeBron too. I just really hope he reins it in, and I still think they could snap a finger and make a run, because that's what LeBron does.
You and I have seen it a million times.
That's what LeBron does.
It's possible. It's real. It's there. I agree with you that that's.
I just don't know if this team's mentally built for that.
It's everybody around him on top of it. Like, and listen, that's LeBron the GM, as everybody likes to say. So I'm not even argue that.
Absolutely, yeah. No, but you and I talked about that earlier.
Yes. Yeah, we did talk.
LeBron, the GM, is just I don't understand.
I don't like where he's at with his career in general.
So I don't think he thinks about anything after when he's there. I mean,
oh no, but that's how he's treated every situation,
and that's unfortunate because you start planning for the future, you'll fuck around and get a title.
But like you told me before,
like you'll fuck around and get a title.
But like you told me before, that's kind of how sports is going to be in 10 years with a different thing. This is how I think sports is going to be in 10 years. Like, look at what the Packers or the Lakers are always doing. Like, if you have the best player in the game or what you perceive as the best player in the game, then you're going to go all out. No matter what cap you're in, no matter what it looks like, no matter what the future holds, you're doing everything you can to win a championship today. And that's why the Lakers are in the situation they're in.
So my combat to that would be like the Cowboys should be in that mindset.
Okay.
Like they should win right now because it's been so long. A team like the Lakers, you just like build something. Like,
so I think
you just got a title, man.
I think what's hard to calculate is
I can't tell these people how to run their organization.
Well, it's AD. I think. Listen, going into this season, I think this season was a very clear marker now. Okay, there does have to be a different direction. Like going into the season,
if AD is a wet rag, he's completely ringed out. Right. I mean, they got everything they can out of him.
And that's kind of the thing. Like,
everything
going
they
into the
can
season,
out of
though,
AD.
I think the thought was, well, AD, as long as he's the guy that we think he's going to be for 75% of the season, LeBron's who he is for 75% of the season, those two can carry no matter how bad Westbrook is into the future and next year, but no further, but next year. And then AD can do it for another year or two after that. That's what they were thinking in this offseason. I think this particular year it almost showed their ass in a lot of ways. Like, okay, now it's, we got to figure out, are we going to keep AD for the next 5 years? This isn't a good idea. Like you just said, they've gotten everything. And I agree with you. I'll be honest, I like AD a lot.
Yeah.
I think his time in LA is pretty... It's an Andy Reid thing for me. Andy Reid's message got stale. Like, I love Andy Reid. I still, to this day, love Andy Reid. But it makes sense. Like, you couldn't keep him in Philly any longer. Yeah. It makes sense. AD, if they wanted to move on from him and he wanted to move on from them, a fresh start for everybody's probably going to make no sense.
Yeah, that makes... Sometimes that's just what guys need.
They can get a lot for him too, though.
Look at Matt Stafford, dude.
Look at Matt Stafford, yeah. So, but you got to figure out the Russell Westbrook situation.
Well, I think everyone knows which way that has to go. You might have to be in a shitty position for a year with money and stuff, but that's what you're gonna have to eat. Again, is LeBron sticking around for a year with a little bit of money? More to talk about.
Twitter's Twitter, but I saw a stupid person, a stupid tweet say they thought who was it? Westbrook and a couple things and they could somehow net Buddy Hield, and I was just like, listen, you're gonna have a whole lot more than a couple.
You should have done that to begin with.
I agree. That basketball wise, as much as I love LeBron, basketball wise, it just didn't make sense to do what they did instead of that. But
and bring Russ home, he's gonna be rejuvenated.
And everybody gets on Rob Pelinka.
Man.
Rob's the one who set up the deal where they almost got that. So clearly, I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, sources say him and Brown aren't.
Oh yeah, well, Clutch and him had to have a 2-hour meeting. Which, if you have a 2-hour meeting, does that mean things are going well?
No, unless you're drinking.
Right? Yeah. So
this is a topic moving along that a little bit more about than me. I'm a huge baseball fan. I love it. I love sitting in the ballpark, drinking a beer, eating a hot dog. I love following my Yankees. But
my heart
I'm not invested.
Yeah, my heart's
the way you are. So the floor is yours. Sir.
So I love baseball. The MLB, I love it. Every part of baseball. I'm a huge my favorite part about sports is just like how it gives me something to do every day, and baseball gives me something to do every day. So
it's great.
I love baseball, and I watch almost 160 games of the Phillies. So broad picture. All right. Where we're at with the back and forth, the boring part is the players would like there to be a salary floor. So like right now, the Yankees, and I'm just using them as an example. I do not hate that the Yankees do this. I actually love it. The Yankees have 6 players that are literally getting paid more than the entire Pirates and Orioles rosters, right? Like by themselves in their own, like 6 individual players. Like you are getting paid one player more than 2. Okay, so that's not good. Like that's terrible for competitive balance. So the players want a salary floor, so that makes the owners spend money.
Yeah,
cool. Yankees are like, yeah, no problem. We don't care about that. But like getting fights from the owners about that. Okay, then the next thing is, and this is just, these are the 2 broadest things. There's a lot more too they're fighting about. But the next thing is the luxury tax. Right now, like this is my problem with the Phillies owner. He's a billionaire, but he won't spend like $800,000 to go into luxury tax and get 5 more great players. He'll pay these players. He's not afraid to pay a player $27 million. He's afraid to pay $800,000 to get taxed by the MLB to pay the next player that much money, which is like, I just don't understand it. But anyways, he doesn't go into it. And then if you go up another luxury tax, it gets worse. Mm-hmm. Okay, what the MLB is now proposing to the players is that's going to cost you more than it does right now, which other than the Yankees and like the Red Sox, the Dodgers, there's really only a handful of teams. Like when I say the Phillies aren't doing it, that means most teams aren't doing it. The Phillies have more money than most teams. So like they're in the top 7 of teams that, you know what I mean, of money. So like there's only really 5 or 6 teams that are always willing to go into luxury cap year in and year out, which if they put a harder cap on that basically is putting a salary cap on baseball because teams don't go past this as it is. So that's where the fight is. That's where they are super far apart on. Here's where it affects us. As of today, this recording, there was no deal done, so that means opening day is gone. And then as every day that goes by, we're pretty much looking at almost like a weekish. You know, we'll get to. I think next month they said, you know, there's a certain day where they'll have like 4 to 8 weeks canceled of the season. So like they'll wait till they get there to actually put a day on it. But like, you know, they're thinking pretty much like every 3 days that gets canceled might cancel a whole week because of preparation to get there. That's also a tactic to try to get the players to sign. It's also a way because like, sure, Bryce Harper's okay, and this is what we talked about earlier. Bryce Harper's okay, but like the last player on the roster, you know, 2 months into this is going to be like,
or an becoming pitcher or somebody who's like,
right,
listen, I got it. I just got to play.
And on the other side of it, you know, like the minor leaguers, they're probably still going to have their opportunities, play this, that, and the next thing. But like at the end of the day, there's nowhere to go then. Like everyone's just kind of like stuck in one. You know, you're in your
everything's halted. Like
so exactly. So like it stops the progression of everything.
Yeah, free agents can't negotiate, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, free agents can't negotiate. You can't. I mean, you're like nobody can talk to teams. You can't even go. Like Bryce Harper can't even go. He's in Clearwater right now. He can't even go work out at the Phillies facility in Clearwater where they do spring training. But that's part of what's coming next. Like the players, as much as they seem like they're not going to cripple, they have the strongest union. So I do believe that they'll be okay for a little while, and I am interested to see where it goes, but that does affect us, the fans, most.
Does it prove that we can shave a couple games
off? Maybe, but as a person, I've never been a fan of shaving games off, but if they do, I'm not against it. Like, it is what it is, and that's okay. Listen, sports are all about progressing, and so the best actual example I have for all this, if you want to shave games off and all that, I'm all in. But right now, last year, the World Series, going into the World Series, it was the most watched playoffs over like the last 15 or 20 years.
That's good.
And the youngest,
I'm glad to hear that.
It has the youngest demographic that they've ever had. And that's 110% because MLB The Show was the biggest game over the last 2 years. It's the biggest game over the last 2 years. Okay? Just
talking about that today. It comes out April 5th.
So kids,
the new one,
right? Kids love it, right? That's literally.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. So that's literally all they play.
Incredible.
So the thing about this is baseball is that it's most popularity it's ever been at the youngest age it's ever been.
Plus,
probably in our lifetime.
The guys like Fernando Tatis,
Yes.
like with the dreads and like
Yes.
just like the. Yeah.
So my biggest problem with what's going on is like you're losing people. Like there's not. Listen, that game's gonna come out. People are still gonna play it. Blah blah blah. But like the excitement
as
for
soon
some
as
people,
as soon as you build it up. Like,
yeah, it's just like you just got here,
Yeah.
and like now it's just like our first conversation is gonna be like, oh yeah, here's what we're actually. This is why we don't like baseball, honestly. Like you know what I mean?
It
It's
was
just
fun
like
while it lasted.
right. So that's where we're at with it. That's where I'm at with it, and it's frustrating. And as somebody who loves baseball, I hate the owners for what's happening.
Yeah, it's millionaires fighting with billionaires.
Yeah, and the players in general really just. I'm a players person. I'll always.
Absolutely. Well, whatever's in their best interest. They're the entertainers.
Right.
They're the product.
Listen, I don't like the Phillies owner, but I love the Phillies. Like I love the Phillies.
Yeah.
But I don't like the Phillies owner. So like when at the end of the day, if they're fighting over who should get share of the money and this, that, and the next thing, I'll always side on the players should get more money. Like always. I'll just always say, yeah, more money for them. But at the end of the day, that's not how it works, and they're gonna fight until they figure this out. But
typically, I mean, hopefully it's like a 10, 12-year deal.
yeah. Oh
So
man.
that
But
would
so the
be-
thing with baseball is like it was like a 4-year deal and then a 6-year deal. Like
man.
they didn't sign long deals the last 2 deals.
Building up to this.
That's all. Right. That's what led to this. And listen, everyone's favorite MLB reporter Jeff Passan has done a great job of explaining that exact thing.
Good old Jeff Passan.
That exact conversation though about how they did a terrible job the last 2 CBAs to get here. Like he explains that in great detail.
Him and Pat,
a lot.
Him and Pat play virtual baseball every time he comes on.
Yeah, I remember the first time.
It is wonderful. Oh,
Yeah.
it is. Well, the first time was him and AJ.
AJ were doing it around him.
Yeah, that was wonderful. But
I like Jeff. So.
yeah. So I always get down the dumps as the NFL season progresses.
Yeah.
But we do have like Sundays on PGA. Saturday nights we got UFC still.
Yeah.
NASCAR's popping.
Well, this last weekend was a really big sports weekend filled for me. College basketball as well.
Yeah, and I feel like we're gonna have another one this coming week.
Same.
But to highlight some more things that happened, this week we had the PGA tournament. -10 under Sepp Straka. He's from Austria, 28 years old. He's ranked 88th in the PGA ranking. Came out. He was, I believe,
what a great day.
Yeah, I believe he was in 3rd or 4th, about 4 or 5 strokes behind the leader Berger, going into the final round. Berger had a terrible 4th round.
Wow.
A couple guys made a run, but Straka just he nailed it. And then Irish runner-up Shane Lowry at 9 under. He's been buzzing around here and there, but he finished as a runner-up. He also was 4 or 5 strokes behind at the beginning of the tournament. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not beginning of the tournament.
Beginning of the day.
At the beginning of the
Sunday.
day. So he really bounced back as well, which was awesome to see. Kind of a run towards the leaderboard, so that was fun.
I did want to ask you, and I forgot to last week. Did you see what's going on with Phil Mickelson?
I'm going to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that look like that.
There's a few of them that are actually doing that or looking at doing that.
Well, I guess he pulled back and everything.
A Saudi Arabian golf league offered Bryson DeChambeau like 120 or 130 million dollars to go golf over there. Crazy thing about that is I'm not sure where that is, or if I think he may have agreed to it.
Oh, I don't know.
But he's not going to be in the Arnold Palmer Classic this weekend.
Because of that?
I don't know.
Well, I know that Phil is like being shunned right now by all the PGA people because of all that in the comments.
Yeah, there's some golfers feel really, really strongly about that.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think I like it a whole lot either, though.
Other golfers think that it's so hungry with young talent on the PGA Tour that it really wouldn't be that big of an impact, but it is kind of a shitty move on their part.
It's a slap in the face coming from somebody from Phil, or Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
Like it does, because the PGA, at the end of the day, I think they actually take care of their guys pretty well, or at least let them do what they want to. Whether they take care of them or not, they let them alone.
Well, I mean, essentially, those guys are general contract.
Absolutely,
their
right.
own.
So they let them alone, and
subcontractors.
they don't really police them on a whole lot. Other than Tiger, they did police Tiger on stupid stuff, but
they're all their own business.
Right. So they kind of let them do whatever they want to for the most part. So when it comes to stuff like that, it's almost like give him some fair play in return, and I guess that's what people feel like is
I agree.
not happening.
I agree. Saturday night was really fun on the UFC front. It was another just UFC Vegas fight night, 49. So it was like if you have ESPN Plus, you get the event for free.
Yep.
But the main event had a headliner, a guy who's up and coming. He at the time before the fight he won 9 straight fights. Islam Makhachev out of Russia. He's a part of the Khabib team. Khabib's dad trained him his whole life until he unfortunately passed away. But he always told Khabib, he always told Makhachev that he was gonna be the next champion. He was gonna take over when Khabib was done. So Khabib was, his coach. He walked him out. The whole time leading up to the fight, he said, "I'm just gonna take him down. He said, I'm gonna make him answer some questions while I have him on the ground." Came right out, Bobby Green. Bobby Green was not prepared for how tactical and how cerebral is the word I was looking for.
Okay.
Makhachev was. He set him up with a few feints and then took him down immediately. Finished it at 3 minutes, 23 seconds into the first round, the ground and pound. He was just unleashing on him, standing over top of him. Ref called it. So that actually made Makhachev 10 straight victories in the UFC.
Okay, that's big. That's a big deal.
Yeah, so he's 22-1 now.
Okay.
Dana,
that's a big deal too.
Supposedly, Dana called Khabib after the fight and told him Makhachev gets a title defense, or that he gets to fight for the title next. So I would think that maybe not, but Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje, they fight coming up, I believe, in May. Okay. So that fight is for that title.
Okay.
And then after that, Makhachev will have the winner. I fully anticipate it being Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. And that is going to be that's going to be an exhibition of mixed martial arts.
Okay.
They will be on the ground. They will stand. They will crawl on each other's backs. They will do the most crazy technical, well-coached thing. So that's going to be
I'm going to watch it with you, though.
That's going to be a really good one. And if Gaethje wins, then I just think it'll still be a war, but Islam might win the title because he's a little bit more well-versed.
Yeah. So, Khabib, as you said in the beginning, as a generic UFC fan, I always enjoyed watching him. So I'm glad to hear that somebody is
following the footsteps.
Yeah, absolutely. At 22-1, I mean, to me
he's from the same gym.
Right.
Khabib was his main corner guy.
Yeah, and I've always liked Khabib, and I like to hear that he kind of took over from what his dad.
That's exactly
that kind of idea. I think that's awesome.
He's always been a coach, but now he's really taken on that as well as a promoter, and he's got this guy who, and now he's in perfect position to battle for a title.
Yeah. So, any big UFC, or do you have that later coming up?
There's a main event, so
we'll talk about that. Stay tuned. So, keeping up with the weekend that was, NASCAR Fontana, the Auto Club, 400. Yeah. Honestly, even though my driver, the guy that I root for, had the bad end of the deal, really good race, really good race overall. Kyle Larson won. He ended up putting Chase Elliott into the wall with 18 laps to go, which is his teammate. He claims that he didn't see him and the spotter didn't tell him and the spotter took full. Listen, it's hard. I think most NASCAR fans in general think Larson probably saw him and put him in the wall because there was really only 1 or 2 cars faster than Larson. And Chase Elliott was down 2 laps, came the whole way back, was about to take the lead on Kyle Larson there with 18 laps to go. So clearly he had a pretty fast car.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Tyler Reddick. He was leading most of the race.
Now what team is that?
Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, they're on Team Hendrick.
Okay.
They have 4 cars, 3 big ones though. And then, but speaking of teams, Tyler Reddick drives the 8 car. He led most of the race. He actually led more laps.
Yeah, I saw his name at the top.
Yeah, he led more laps yesterday or on Sunday than he did his entire NASCAR career going into that. He's been racing for 3 years. But his teammate actually ended up finishing second. Yeah, he wrecked out. His teammate ended up finishing second though. So they raced for Richard Childress, which as an Earnhardt fan, I was Earnhardt's driver. Austin Dillon drives a 3.
Okay.
And then the 43, I've been riding him for 2 weeks in a row. I told you to take him in the top 5 2 weeks in a row. Eric Jones, he finishes 3rd, so I'm going to have to jump off that hot hand. But I'm glad I took that. He finished, I think it was 12th, and he wrecked out.
He drives Richard Petty's now?
He drives the 43, yeah.
Wow.
And it's still owned by Petty Motorsports. Actually, the 42, which Richard Petty's dad drove, Lee Petty, is also owned by GMS, which is GMS Motor and Petty Motorsports combined. So, and awesome. Austin Dillon's brother, Ty Dillon, drives 42.
Okay.
So,
it's all one big.
Oh yeah, and I know it all with NASCAR.
It's the good old boys.
But Kyle Larson, listen, he did actually have a really good race, and as much as I don't like him putting Chase Elliott into the wall, other than that, Joey Logano made a really awesome move with like 4 to go, where he came from the top of the track to the bottom of the track, took the lead. But Larson's car was just so dominant that he was always able to take anything and come back,
close the gap.
Yeah, close the gap. So, again, good race. I think if you're into NASCAR, I think a lot of NASCAR fans genuinely felt like that was one of the better races in a long time. And as much as the tire issue that's going on right now, the next gen 7 cars, there's only the second race with them. So like my theory on this is they don't race 30 plus cars on a track for more than or for 60 laps at a time in testing. Like they can't simulate that. So what's happening right now is these Goodyear tires are popping off, and what happened at Daytona is the drivers are driving back and tearing up the rest of the tire, so Goodyear couldn't test the tire. So what they did is they told them to stop. So right now, when they stop, they're getting towed off the track, and they're losing too many laps. So that caused a lot of wrecks towards the end of the race last week, so because a lot of drivers stopping, they just let the tire blow and then it hit the wall because they didn't want to lose 4 laps, which, caused bigger wrecks. But anyways, so they do need to figure that out, which I do think Goodyear, since I've been watching NASCAR, which is my whole life, has been super aggressive on those kind of topics since I can remember, and they're going to be super aggressive here. And I figure by mid-season this will be all behind them. But it is an interesting thing that's going on right now.
I would say tires are important.
Tires are just popping right off cars, which you don't see that often. So
tires are important.
Speaking of something that we're both super invested in, that happens on Sundays. I think it's my favorite segment, State of the Franchise.
The first one was a hit.
First one was a hit,
It was fun.
And I had a good time doing it too. So let's keep it rolling. The next 2 teams who were terrible.
Terrible, at the bottom of the pack.
Houston. That's going to be the first team we talk about. Houston, I mean, listen, you can't speak about their last year's season without talking about Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, it kind of set the tone for the entire season.
That goes back to the end of the season the year before when he was telling them he wanted out before these allegations came out because he knew they were coming out. So he had them forced to already almost make a deal for him, and then all this comes out.
So imagine if that would have went through.
Imagine the team that would have got him.
That would have been horrible.
So this turns into I think that would have been the first time that we saw a team sue another team. If the NFL didn't do something about that, compensate the team that got him. I do. I never thought of that, but I genuinely think that'd been the first time we see a team sue another team.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, they would have the grounds to do it.
I wonder how that would work out, because the NFL would never let it get to that point. The NFL would have to step in and do something. So I wonder how that would turn out.
Yeah.
I know Goodell wouldn't make the right decision. That's the only thing I do know.
Yeah. Houston finished the season 4-13.
Yep.
So the wins weren't plentiful. Like we touched on, Deshaun really just set the tone for them hiring, I think, the new GM.
Yeah.
There were just a lot of things that happened, and he just refused to budge.
Be part of any of it, yeah.
Yeah,
listen, we've never covered the Deshaun thing, but whether, I'm not going to touch the legal allegation stuff, but no matter what happens there, as good as he was, there's going to be a lot. You can't just get rid of him until that's resolved.
You're not gonna.
And then, I mean, even after it's resolved, I think it's still, teams are still going to have, it's going to be a touchy situation.
It's going to be a very touchy situation, but we know that if he's cleared,
and how good he is,
teams are gonna see dollar signs and W's.
And listen, he came into the NFL right as the NFL started opening up for a quarterback like him.
I agree.
He was putting stuff together, and now there's so many more coordinators out there that can do stuff for his play style, even in the 4 or 5 years that he's been around.
It's
grown,
right? It's grown, yeah.
That no matter where he ends up, I do think that. Again, he was special. We knew how special he was. So
he'll be just fine if the thing's clear.
But if they don't, I mean, what do you do with him? Do you just let the contract ride out?
You're gonna have to.
Well, the NFL doesn't cost them a roster spot. The NFL already, you know what I mean? They take care of all that for the Texans. So I guess that kind of works out for everybody in that case. He still gets paid. The NFL kind of pushes him to the side. The Texans don't have to even pretend he's, part of the organization, right? So I guess that's what would happen. But I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? A story that came out of the season that I hated, and you and I touched about it, was the Dave Culley situation, kind of how they treated Coach Dave, the Fighting Daves, as they called them on Hammer Down and Pat McAfee show. They were scrappers though, and they brought in Tyrod Taylor, who Tyrod Taylor's a gamer.
I've always liked
him. David Culley built a roster that kind of resembled him as a person.
Yeah,
scrappy. It's just very unfortunate how they kind of just brought in Lovey to get rid of David Culley, but there was really no difference there.
So what bothered me is when they hired him, it almost felt like they were well, we're in a bad situation right now.
It was a bridge hire.
So we're just hiring you. Right, exactly. No, bridge hire is the best way to put it though, is we're just hiring you to, get us to the next spot. And then when they did fire him because they felt like they were ready to get to the next spot, even though it shows their incompetence.
Because they thought Brian Flores, they thought somebody was going to.
Right. And they were never actually ready for where they were going to go. So they ended up just hiring his defensive coordinator, which is Lovie Smith, because of a bunch of stupid, unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah.
To me, it shows their incompetence. But
they did have two pretty solid wins last year. One against the Titans, which is a division game, and then they beat the Chargers, and the Chargers were really up and down. But
the Chargers needed that. If the Chargers won that, they would have been in the playoffs. So
they would have been in the playoffs, yeah. And then, like we touched on, Lovie Smith is incoming. One thing I heard, and I was just like, that's insane. Is the GM Nick Caserio?
Yeah, Caserio. Yep.
Caserio. He actually has a headset on during the games, and he's talking to the sideline. So. Dude, you might as well just coach. You might as well just coach.
Didn't he come from the Patriots organization?
Yep. And he did that. He helped out Josh McDaniels on the offense with personnel.
That's just wow. That threw me for a loop because I was going to talk about Lovie Smith, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Lovie Smith, though, for me, I like Lovie Smith. I liked him back in Chicago. I liked him in Illinois. I like Lovie Smith. I liked him with the long beard, all that. But I think it was really just.
That's awesome.
It's really clear though that you were never going to pick him or hire him because when are you ever gonna? He was the 31st ranked defense. He was the defensive coordinator of the 31st ranked defense. You didn't fire your head coach to hire him.
No. They gave up the 5th most points. That's hopping ahead a little bit, but
but that's why I went there.
Yeah,
I was just I was frustrated when I got to
that. That's insane because what did you drop?
But you didn't advance anything.
You did not. You certainly did not.
You went to the bottom of the barrel of the league technically. Even though again I like Lovie, I'm not trying to take shots at him. It just doesn't make any sense.
It does not. It does not make any sense.
But we could cover in order here offensive. 30th ranked offense, which wasn't any better.
Yeah, 278.1 yards a game. That's abysmal, man. That's
278. There was quarterbacks that averaged more than that.
100%. There were more quarterbacks.
That's what their offense averaged per game. There was quarterbacks that averaged.
That's their overall ranking. So
how about David Mills with
Davis Mills?
David. 2,664 yards, 60 touchdowns, which, I would have put under. If you gave me over under 16, I would have
I would have took under.
Right, I would have never, or 15. If you would have said 15, I would have just taken under and I would have been off.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for him.
But 10 interceptions makes sense.
That's about it. That's about it, Davis Mills.
Do you think Burkhead's going to be their running back next year?
I doubt it. That he may have been the leader because they may have had some injuries. I believe they have David Johnson on their roster.
You're right, they do. But injuries.
Yeah, exactly. So that's but he only had 427 yards, 3 touchdowns. He didn't really provide them very much. And the highlight of their offense was clearly Brandon Cooks.
Dude, but speaking of incompetence, he gave them an easy out last year in the offseason and in training camp. They never could figure out a good deal for him, so they didn't trade him. He's their most talented player. You can get so much for him. You're clearly in a situation of flux.
Yeah, you might as well get what you can.
Yeah, but
do what you can. Yeah,
they didn't.
They had a 1,000-yard receiver, so that's probably the highlight of their offense. He had 6 touchdowns. Brandon Cooks, but he won't be there next year. They don't.
No.
they don't ever hang on to anyone long enough. So
and that was my point. Like, you can get something out of them.
Yeah, they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. So.
Yeah, that one I'll never understand. That was actually the start of the downfall. They got rid of DeAndre, and then they blamed Bill O'Brien, who, listen, a lot of people didn't like him, but I thought he was a good coach.
I agree.
And, I mean, look at where they're at. So
I agree.
Defense, we talked about they're the worst in ranking, and they gave up the 5th most points. Jake Martin, you know much about him?
No, Jake,
I don't know much about him.
I had never seen that name.
If the two of us don't know much about him, then it's.
I definitely thought it would be someone else. Former Cowboy Malik Collins was their second leading sacker.
Okay.
With 3, so
I know
he's a defensive tackle. So there you go.
I know
they didn't have much of a pack. Well, they're 31 right now. So.
I know Super Bowl champion Kruger Hill from the Eagles with 108 tackles.
He's the one who talks shit about the Cowboys, and then we beat the hell out of him.
Yeah, listen, I'll be honest with you. I was never the biggest fan of him as an Eagle, but he got a ring.
You guys refused to draft linebackers.
Oh, dude, me and Howie Roseman are the biggest enemies ever, even though he's not as bad as I wish he was. But yeah, he literally he decides that linebackers don't exist. That's a different conversation when we get there. Lonnie Johnson and Desmond King got 3 interceptions each.
Yeah, so I do know Desmond King.
Yeah, okay.
I believe he was a free agent pickup. I was looking at him for my team.
All right.
But no, 3 interceptions as a leading your defense. The stats correlate to the ranking.
Yeah, that's very true. They were low everywhere. So 4 picks in the first 3 rounds, though.
Yeah,
for a rebuilding team, it is a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah, 12 overall picks.
Yeah.
So they do have some capital. They could use some of those.
3 in the 6th round. I mean, that's a way to build, I guess.
I mean, there's certainly some value there.
If you hit 1 on 3, you're doing well.
Yeah, but then we look at their cap space. And
the biggest thing for me, their cap space. Not only their cap space, they have their top 3 guys. They have room to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, Deshaun, they're trying to already get rid of.
$40 million.
Which that just throws their cap way crazy.
Yeah,
if they get rid of all that money.
That'd be a blessing for them.
I mean, Tunsil, look, no matter who you bring in, it's not like you're winning the Super Bowl next year. So do you need, no matter how good he is, do you need your best offensive lineman? You could get that off the books.
Well, you can restructure from $26 million.
I agree with that, but I mean,
so the thing that stuck out to me here is their top 3 players are all making over market value at their positions per year, and they're not even top 10 at their position.
No.
So
that is true. I'll give you that. Well,
but they're not as bad as the next team we talk about. So
Deshaun was, though.
Yeah, Deshaun absolutely was.
But Deshaun's just an unfortunate circumstance.
But like Laramie Tunsil, $26.1 million.
I like Laramie, but I don't disagree with that. And Brandon Cooks, I like him.
$16 million.
Agreed. His best years are behind him already. So
man, not for $16 million.
I agree, and I like him. I do. But listen, but that's where at the end of the day, I think they could figure out how to unload all 3 of those if they had to.
Sure, and I mean, they do have 3 free agents who they're going to have to unload or re-sign, and Tyrod Taylor, Malik Collins, and David Johnson, who we touched on earlier.
Yep.
I feel like David Johnson hasn't really been too productive in quite some time. But,
I agree with that.
But injuries, system, things like that.
Absolutely.
All go into that. So, there's 2 more actually. Two more starters. Desmond King and Super Bowl champion.
That's my fault, but Super Bowl champion.
Kruger Hill.
I love it.
Shit talker that got his ass beat.
I saw him on a float.
Good for him.
It was great.
It's the only float he ever rides on.
That's probably true.
And I hope it's the only float that you ever see. Unless it's the Sixers.
Yeah, hey. I'll be there if they win it.
2022 predictions.
Yeah, so. I mean, listen, because I can't tell you who their quarterback's going to be next year.
You're harsh, man.
Well, I'm giving them 1 win. But, I mean, I don't know. Listen, I like my guy Tyrod, so,
He's a free agent. They got to bring him back.
But if they bring him back, that's what I'm saying. If there's things they can do to improve that.
He struggled to stay healthy, though.
I agree with that. He has for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, one of them's not even his fault with
oh my gosh.
How does that even happen? Why did he not sue the league? Anyways, he probably couldn't. But anyways, 1-16 only because I don't know what's happening, and I like Bobby Smith, but I just don't. The way they've handled everything.
Direction.
The way they've handled everything exactly is why I got them at that. And my draft pick, Akeem. How do we say it? You had me earlier with it.
Ekwonu.
Yeah.
Akeem Ekwonu.
Listen, I just think that, they got to start.
That dude
somewhere.
is a dog on film.
I was gonna say they got to start somewhere, and he is. I wouldn't say a lock, but people said Penny School was a lock last year. He's got a lot of talent. He can play 2 different positions on the offensive line.
He's definitely, for me, I think he's a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah.
So he's not that 350. He's 6'4", 320. Still,
no, you're right.
Big body, but he can
move.
He can move. He can play interior lineman, out exterior lineman, either or.
Yeah.
So I definitely think he's a can't miss pick.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So that's why
I agree.
They have no direction, so just put an anchor there.
I agree 100%. My 2022 Texans prediction is 2-15.
Hard on me. You were only giving them one more win.
I know.
All right.
It's still one more.
2-15
for a lot of the same reasons that Hoodie touched on. There's really no direction. You don't know. If you draft a lineman, who's he really blocking for? If you draft a defensive stud, who's he really you're going to be playing behind, or who's really going to lead him on? It goes a lot of different ways. So I figure 2 wins. There's always those 2 where the other team doesn't show up wins, or like at least one in their division. So I gave him 2 wins. And my draft pick is Derek Stingley, the defensive back out of LSU.
Yep.
Kid's always showing up on film.
Yep.
He's been showing out. They've been talking about him since LSU won a national championship.
Wasn't his dad NFL player?
I don't know.
I think his dad.
100%.
Listen, don't quote me on this. I'm almost 1,000% positive of this, though. His dad was the NFL player who got paralyzed for the Patriots, but he played the same position.
Oh, okay, defensive back. So yeah, he
has.
has.
No, he played wide receiver. His dad played wide receiver, but he got paralyzed.
That's very unfortunate. Derek Stingley has been a stud since a freshman.
Yeah.
He's always made plays. He always has his nose in the play, and I think from a front office standpoint, you don't really know who you're blocking for. You don't really know who's throwing the ball. You don't really know who's rushing the ball.
Yeah.
But if you can do anything, it's great to be able to lock down at least the other team's best receiver. So Derek Stingley is another one. You can certainly miss. I'm not saying this is a can't miss.
Well, I'll be honest with you.
Like the offensive lineman pick.
I'll be honest with you. I'm a huge fan of him, and to me, he plays one of the hardest positions in the whole sport.
Yeah.
So, if you can get a guy who can be a dog at that position.
And he's played against Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs, Jamison Williams, all those guys that were there this year.
I think there's a whole SEC, though.
Yeah,
the Ole Miss, the A&Ms of the world. You can go down the list. He played some guys.
And he's played there for 3 years, so he's certainly battle tested.
And he started from the beginning, right? Is that what you said? So
as a freshman, a true freshman.
So that's what I mean. So
I believe he won a national championship as a true freshman.
He did. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But he's absolutely the player that his dad was paralyzed playing football. I know it for a fact.
Grant Delpit was in that secondary.
Yeah.
So
certainly. Yeah. No, I've been watching him for a while, so I like it. So let's go to a team that I don't like at all.
Yeah, I don't. There's probably only one other team in the league that I like less than this team.
Me too, but different teams.
We'll get there. But the New York Football Giants.
Ah, man. So,
one thing let's just lay it off with this. I don't like one thing that well, by the way, they were 4-13 last year.
Dez is just going down.
Chilling, bro.
He didn't catch it.
He's chilling. We should have put this dude since 2018 or a few years back. They have not at any given time.
Yeah, I know what you're about to say.
Been over 500.
Yeah.
Not even 1-0. Not even 1-0.
Don't they only have 13 wins in that time frame?
I think they only have 13 wins since the boat pick.
That's what it is.
Since the Tim's on the boat.
They're 13-40 something.
Oh man.
That's hard to do.
That is hard to do.
In the NFL.
That is. I
don't even think
and that directly correlates with David Gettleman being an absolute idiot. So this guy, he
only man that got to ruin 2 franchises in the NFL.
Good for him, man.
I'll give him
What a stat, dude. What a stat that.
I mean, listen.
Shout out Boston College.
If you can give me another one, I would love to hear it. But I mean, he is
that
the GM.
is pathetic. And then he hired a moron in Joe Judge. Joe Judge is a complete and utter moron. He hired Jason Garrett, for goodness sake. I mean, JG, like...
Joe Judge, when his team won, listen, I'll never forget this, his team won 4 games, okay? And he was blaming Doug Peterson for why he didn't make the playoffs. And that was the moment that I was like, man, I hope they give this guy a lifetime contract.
Yeah.
Like, this guy
sign him up.
Is a freaking moron. Like,
David Gettleman ruined Saquon Barkley's career.
How? The talent.
Wasted Daniel Jones. We do have differing opinions on him.
But I'm not the biggest Daniel Jones fan.
But he's not the worst thing you could possibly have.
No.
And in the right system, being treated right, being protected with Saquon Barkley and Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard, they could have. I mean,
I always look at
could have set him up for more success. I guess.
So I guess the way I should lay this out is the reason I'm always been so down on Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. I feel like only got picked because Dave Gettleman asked Eli Manning, who do you guys like at your camp?
And he's a Duke guy.
And right, well, yeah. So like it was just the whole thing, like
the Manning Passing Academy.
That's what I mean.
See what you're saying.
So and the head coach or not the head coach, the offense coordinator or something at North Carolina, wherever where he went, where Daniel Jones went, or no, Duke, like you said, right? Daniel Jones went to Duke. Either way, where he went, offense coordinator was huge in the Manning Academy. So like to me, it was always just
David
like
Cutcliffe.
To me, it was always just like well, this is who I want to bridge me. That's why they took him. So like, I don't think that any.
It looks like Eli.
To me, it was that
moves like Eli.
To me, it was that I just didn't feel like at the time any team had him anywhere close to where the Giants got him. So like that's why I've always just been like
6th overall.
That's why I've just always been like, on Daniel Jones. Like from the day he was drafted, I was just like, you know what? Thank you, Giants. Like,
Now this year he suffered that horrific concussion against the Cowboys.
And I will say he's tough. Like he's been tough.
And he got his head ripped off almost and hurt his neck for the rest of the season. Yeah. Very unfortunate. They bring in a guy like Kenny Galladay on a huge contract, scores 0 touchdowns in the entire season.
Woo. Love it.
I think the fun fact that we talked about earlier was he makes more money combined yearly than the entire WNBA combined, and he doesn't even score a touchdown for his team.
0 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think,
big offseason,
and this was kind of one thing
this
is one thing that I threw in there. They passed on Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons was told the whole pre-draft, you're gonna go be a Giant.
I did hear that.
You're gonna go be a Giant. You're gonna play with your boy Saquon. They passed on him. He made him pay. He did damage against them. So I think that
didn't work out for me either way. So
they drafted Kadarius Toney, which. Stud.
Tony's good,
but he wasn't Micah. He would have, and the Giants don't have the worst defense in the league, so Micah Parsons would have absolutely broke them into maybe the top 15 in defense. So it's all about personnel, drafting, and
development.
I really think looking forward, they do have. So one thing I learned is they brought in the assistant GM for. The Buffalo Bills the past couple years.
Yeah, I know that.
And then he hired Brian Daboll,
the offense coordinator.
So, if the Bills franchise and the structure and the image that they've built is any indication of how these guys operate, the Giants may be building from the bottom. It took Buffalo how many years, but
and I'll be honest,
they're solid from top to bottom.
Speaking of how many years, I do like Sean McDermott. He's out of the Philly system, out of the Andy Reid system. That's why I like him, but. They gave him all the time in the world.
Jim Johnson, right?
Yeah. But it took him a while to build them, but they never gave up on his vision. And obviously look at where they're at.
Clearly. And they're built in his image. They're built in a tough. So
what you're saying is good. Yeah, I agree with you on the Giant side.
What I always look at Sean McDermott, and not to go into the Bills conversation, but is his team is built offensively and defensively. Tough as nails, just like he is.
Absolutely,
so,
solid.
Like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs.
Yes.
Cole Beasley.
No, you're absolutely right.
Dawson Knox. Those guys.
Even their offensive line.
Yeah. And they're just kind of built in that defensive mindset image. So
I agree.
They did, even though they
back
only.
with the Giants,
even though the Giants did have one win, more than the Texans, they they did rank out better.
Okay.
They were 22 overall on offense, 303 yards per game. Still not great. They played a number of games with Mike Glennon at quarterback. They started they may have either started Jake Fromm. I think they started Jake Fromm one game. So that was absolutely skewed with not having Daniel Jones in the whole season.
That makes sense.
And Devontae Booker, he led their team in rushing yards with 593 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was a tough tackle all year.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones had 2,428 yards, 10 touchdowns. I feel like he certainly would have had the over 3,000 yards.
I agree.
If he would have been healthy. And then Kenny Galladay, like we touched on before, he had 512 receiving yards and 0 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he was their big off-season acquisition, as Hoodie alluded to. So
Gettleman went out and put all that money
in. That's crazy. I mean, he literally didn't score any point. He still doesn't score a point as a Giant.
That's awesome.
That's great. It's
great for one of my favorite stats. On the defense, they were the 21st ranked overall defense, 460 points allowed. Leonard Williams had 6.5 sacks. I mean, I know about him.
He's a terror.
You're right, because he's in the division. So, I mean,
I put up with him and Fletch.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
And Jonathan Allen.
That is, oh, man. But you're right, though. I mean, you got a good defense line, too, over there. Trey Crowder with 130 tackles, and then Xavier McKinney with 5 interceptions. I thought that he had actually like a really good season.
Solid year, definitely.
You heard his name a lot, and I like in every Giants game that I watched, I felt like I heard his name a ton. Now I don't know if that's good for them because he's in the secondary, but you know.
No, I certainly watched him make some plays this year.
Absolutely. I mean the draft, 2 first-round draft picks, high.
5 and 7.
That's listen. If you get capable people in there, which you got rid of Gettleman, so it's a start.
Yeah, you got some guys who clearly built through the draft.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you get capable people in there, having a 5th and the 7th pick in the draft could really change your franchise around.
And even if you decide to do something with those picks, you could really
absolutely still do something big to help your franchise. Yeah,
a Russell Wilson or something.
Well, and honestly, looking at their cap, I mean, you almost
you have to.
You could really actually propel yourself somewhere pretty well. They're negative 12 million in cap.
Yeah, negative 12.2. That is for being that high in the draft.
Yeah,
that
well,
sucks.
I agree with that.
You typically see like
the other balance.
Yeah.
If you had a bad last couple seasons, which I mean, we just alluded to how bad their last couple seasons have been since that boat pick. That boat pick. Now I heard somebody tell the story the other day, and this is the other reason I'm asking this. Didn't that happen after a game on like Sunday? They went Sunday night to the thing, and then they had the game the next week against the Packers. The wild card, right? Somebody said it was like the off week, and I was like, no, I think they won the game, celebrated in Miami.
Because they won the division.
And didn't they have the day off?
Yeah.
And that's what they decided to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Odell and all them.
Yeah. Anyways, but we talked about their cap being this bad, them having this many bad seasons in a row, like that's hard to do.
Yeah.
But that's also why Gettleman is not around no more. Will probably never work in football again.
They finally John Morrow said no.
Yeah.
I'm sick of explaining to my rich friends why we suck. It's his exact quote.
That's a good quote though. He doesn't even live in America.
He said he's sick of it, to his rich friends why the Giants suck.
Did you hear that? The reason that they couldn't do the deal with the coach is because the owner wasn't in America and they had to like hold it up for a day or two. Like Mara was somewhere. Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah. Anyway, so
he's invested.
Yeah. Well, his sons, I'm pretty sure, are really super involved.
I'm sure they run day to day.
So Leonard Williams making the most money on the team. I mean, can you restructure all that?
Quarterback money.
Yeah, can you restructure all that? I mean, you almost have to if you want to.
You're gonna have to.
What about unloading them? Would you do that if you were the Giants? No, I wouldn't either.
He's about the only thing you got going for you.
Bradbury making a lot of money.
They are probably gonna off his contract. $21.8 million.
How do you do that with Galladay too? I mean,
Galladay is the highest paid receiver in the league if it stays this way. Adoree Jackson, I didn't hear his name once. I thought he retired. $15 million.
Making $15 million.
Blake Martinez, $14 million. He's making more than Dalvin Cook.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Sterling Shepard, 12.4. Sterling Shepard, is he ever at 1,000 yard season?
No, I don't think. I mean, he might, but
Logan Ryan, the one who took out Dak's ankle, 12.2.
Woo. Losing some guys.
Definitely.
I mean, Nate Solder, Evan Ingram, Peppers. I think all three of those names off the bat everyone knows, and then Will Hernandez is also.
He's a prick ass offensive lineman,
but he's there. So
yeah, he's always trying to fight somebody.
He is always trying to fight somebody, but that's his job.
Yeah.
But the first three names that I mentioned, I mean, that's everybody knows them, and they're almost staples to lose if they do lose them. So.
Yeah, even though they're not bona fide superstars, they are. You could definitely lose them, but with the free agents that are out there, Dalton Schultz. I think he'd be a great security blanket for a guy like Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Connor Williams would be a good Will Hernandez, a younger. He's basically the same thing. He's a younger Will Hernandez. And then Marcus Williams from the Saints.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I think Marcus Williams from the Saints is going to get a lot of play.
Yeah, and he's good, so he may not, he may have his, pick of the litter and may not want to go to New York, but just some possible free agent target.
I know Honey Badge is going to set a lot of the market for what.
Come to Dallas, Badge. Come on.
But I think Marcus Williams is also going to have a lot of say in what goes on here with that market.
Yeah.
Since I went last time, you want to talk about the record?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first. For 2022, I have them at 4-13, same as this past year. I think the culture is going to be better. I think they're going to be better coached. I think they'll make less mistakes. I think their offense will look different. It will have a more of a twist using Daniel Jones as a runner, almost like Josh Allen was. I really think that it's going to be a good thing for Daniel Jones having Brian Daboll and his recent experience with Josh Allen. So I have them at 4-13. As far as draft pick, I think the Giants have always had a great pass rush as long as I've known of the Giants and hated the Giants. Strahan, OCU Manura.
Even back before that LT.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He was
that was
one of the
before
best
me.
players of all time.
That was before me. But
no,
yeah,
it's still,
absolutely. I mean, it's a long lineage of great pass rushers. So I think they go Kayvon Thibodeau, the edge rusher out of Oregon. The guy was before last year. It was either before last year's draft or as soon as the draft was over, the early draft had him number 1 overall.
I was gonna say, I think he's a stud.
He got injured early in the season, so he did miss some time. I believe it was a foot injury, but he was a terror off the outside. He has a great bend. He can't move inside and play middle linebacker like a Micah Parsons, but he can absolutely be a game disruptor. He can fly off the edge. You got Leonard Williams up front, who's going to take on double team. If they use Kayvon Thibodeau correctly, they could definitely hit on that pick. And then you turn around, you got the 7th pick right away.
Right.
So that in itself.
You could just get 2 good guys back to back like that. Yeah.
Kayvon Thibodeau and an offensive lineman.
Absolutely.
Something like that. So.
Yeah, you could fill some needs as much as getting good players, which is hard to do both in the draft. Listen, I got them at 2-15. A lot of it's more the unknown. I mean, you pointed out, I'm going to be harsher on these kind of teams for the most part in general. But listen, this one isn't 2-15 because of I don't know about their quarterback or their coach. I actually think their quarterback is going to be better under their coach because, like you said, they're going to use him more like Josh Allen, and I think he does have a little bit of that in him. For me, it's the difference for the Bills and everyone else is the Bills are able to block really well, and they have all that. I think behind Saquon, there's not really a whole lot of running back.
It's the culture. I think we will incrementally see them get better, but I don't think they'll be any worse than they were last year.
Well, and I mean, that might be. And I also have this number because I do think that Washington, they were in flux, but I think if they do send a quarterback, they can make that leap. And then, I mean, I think Philly and Dallas are both going to be hard again for, know. So that's why I have them where they're at. Just division-wise, they're in a pretty tough situation.
Yeah, they're already going to lose, probably going to lose 6 games.
And then, a couple at least. And then, listen, it's hard to say what they'll do outside of that. But I do, and I hate to say this as the biggest Notre Dame fan you're going to be, I have them drafting Kyle Hamilton. I just, listen, as the biggest Notre Dame fan, the best way to put it is he was the best player on the field a lot. I mean, it's like very, very often. And he won them early in the season when it was kind of like teetering. Are they going to be a playoff contending team? Are they not? Are they he single-handedly did stuff in 2 or 3 games there in week 2, 3, 4, and 5 that to me, it solidified that he will be a top 10 pick. And I mean, I don't think they can go wrong on
What
that.
game did he have that sick-ass interception going out of bounds?
The one going out, I think you're talking about the Shamrock Series one against Wisconsin, but I mean, he had a couple insane ones.
He might have ended the game with this one. I don't know, but it was hard body.
Yeah,
it was hard body.
I mean, but yeah,
he's just a big. He's a daunting guy.
Honestly, he had 2 interceptions this year that literally ended games, and he had 3 interceptions this year that were just like. I don't even know why receivers were catching that ball. Like it's just So and you go past what his ball skills are in the air. He's all over the field. I mean, like he's in on every run stop, and
he's that new age defensive back, 6'4", 220.
Oh, absolutely.
Those guys used to bring him in, put 20 pounds on him, make him a linebacker.
You're right.
Now they're like shit. Yeah. You can come up field. You can play in the box. You can play on the line. You can go back.
He
can play center field.
Everything. Yeah, he's hybrid. Yeah,
and he's 6'4", so he's not short. He's definitely a big guy out there.
And he can run fast. I wish I knew his 40 time. He can run fast, and so like speaking of Combine's coming up, we're gonna find all of that out.
It's Combine week this week.
Exciting.
Yeah. 2 notable people that are sitting out. One, Matt Corral.
Yeah.
I like.
I wanted to see him go.
I did see, and I believe Kayvon Thibodeau is also.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's not. Put on the film for Kayvon Thibodeau.
I agree with that. Like Kayvon.
Matt Corral, let's see that thing spin, dude. Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. That was a great second segment of.
I agree with that.
The state of the franchise. Before we move on, though. I do hope everyone liked how we were able to break up the segments and put out each segment.
Shout out to this guy. He did all the work on that, and it was awesome. It really was a really great idea.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people really liked that. We actually got a good draw from just external people on our page to kind of deep dive the analytics a little bit of how our YouTube's moving. We're doing well. We have over 220 total views,
which is awesome.
We have an average of like right around 4 minutes for watch time. So hey, shout out guys, thank you. And we're over 10 subscribers. But the one thing I did notice is a lot of people are coming to our page off of. It previously was off of UFC bets, which was awesome. But now it's off of the Jacksonville Jaguars keyword name.
Okay.
So just having that.
Well, the Jaguars do have a really big fan base, so that makes sense.
And breaking that off into its own segment, it was about just an hour, so I thought it worked out great.
Nice, yeah.
Be on the lookout this week for episode 2 of State of the Franchise.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like I said, to open up that State of the Franchise, it's my favorite segment.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. And
it's a way to keep us in tune with football when
football's
not around.
We learn, and just wait to the draft, how informed you're going to be
during the draft. Absolutely.
And all of our fans are going to be informed.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right.
You're like, hey, the Giants were $12 million under the cap on Hoodie and Ozz.
Yeah, people are going to be talking about
now look at them. Oh, they did.
Yeah, so tell your friends.
Tell your friends, be a friend, tell a friend, be a friend, add a friend.
Love it. So...
shout out my boy,
Pat. Moving on to the week that is. It's coming up.
Yeah, and like you said in the previous segment, recapping this weekend, it is March Madness.
It is March Madness. So we could run through the top 10, but it might be a little different by the time we even get up here because I think the rankings will probably come out on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or do they come out Sundays?
I believe they came out Monday. I did take these straight from this morning.
Okay, well,
so this is updated.
Okay, so this will be for the week that is then. Gonzaga is still number 1. Arizona is number 2.
They didn't drop. Yep.
Auburn number 3. Purdue number 4. Those I think Kansas is going to fight with Purdue or Auburn for a number 1 seed, but I do think those are the 5 that you're looking at for 1 seeds. Kentucky number 6, Duke number 7, Nova 8, Texas Tech 9, and Baylor 10. Honestly, if any of those teams that I just said from 6 down made a deep run or won the tournament, I wouldn't be surprised by the way that they're run, the way that they've been the last couple of years, all of them. And then, listen, I think the sentimental one would be Duke, just because of Coach K.
Yeah, I was absolutely going to touch on that. That's close to my heart. Very, 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 very close.
So I figure that's actually...
So that, I think we should do our predictions next week.
Okay.
For the conference tournament and NCAA tournaments, and we can do our top 4 seeds if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
4 number 1 seeds, I should say.
Yeah. I knew what you meant.
But yeah, sneak peek. They're gonna do it for Coach K.
So
they have to. They have to.
I love it.
John Shire, Duke, Pablo Banchero.
Pablo.
You have to.
Pablo. I'm a big Pablo fan.
Yeah, no, he's a beast. He's a dog.
Yes, he is.
He's a big body. He's gonna do well in the NBA.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. So Wednesday.
Yeah, we got some top 10 matchups.
Bunch of games.
Well, not necessarily top 10.
Top 25
matchups. We top 25
playing
overall. Yeah, Texas A&M is traveling to number 24 Bama.
Yep.
Number 21 UConn is traveling to Creighton. That's in the interconference matchup there. 3 Auburn is traveling to Mississippi State. Another SEC matchup should be a brush-up game. And LSU goes to number 18 Arkansas. So there's a lot of SEC matchup on Wednesday. Saturday, top 10 games. It's a loaded slate again.
Yeah.
And it's going to go right into championship week.
Yep.
So you got 8 Nova going to Butler, 18 Arkansas traveling to 17 Tennessee, 24 Bama going to LSU, which is a football stat. If we had a ticker,
they'd be going nuts.
Yeah, I would think it's under football, but no, we're looking at basketball.
Crazy.
6 Kentucky going to Florida, SEC battle. Indiana going to number 4 Purdue. Purdue needs to bounce back. All these top 7 teams, top 10 teams need to bounce back.
I was gonna say they need to build up.
Number 9 Texas Tech goes to Oklahoma State. 20 Texas is gonna try to spoil Kansas's number 1 seed, probably going into that Big 12 tournament. They're traveling to Kansas. Cal is going to number 2 Arizona. DePaul is going to number 21 UConn. My game, the game of the weekend, the game of the year, Coach K's last game he'll ever coach against the University of North Carolina. I wish I had his all-time record. I will certainly tweet it out before the game.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned there. But
he owns them, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Especially as of late. It's unbelievable as of late.
Yeah.
North Carolina travels to number 7 Duke. Cameron Crazy will be going nuts. Iowa State travels to number 10 Baylor. And to end the night, number 16 USC travels number 12 UCLA. I can see USC absolutely pulling that one out.
I was going to say go Bruins, but you're probably right. Yeah. USC's been playing pretty good basketball lately. Mm-hmm. In the NBA, Thursday we got
back. We got a full week of it now.
Well, it's full slate, yeah. And I think Sunday was a great little preview for what we got the rest of the season.
It's post All-Star break, so let's go.
So the Thursday TNT games, definitely watch out for Ozz's Operation Bankroll
hashtag Operation Bankroll. Yeah, on Twitter, that's kind of where I put out my parlays. Some hit, some don't. Please don't at me. I don't want to hear it.
As he pointed out about the TNT games, there's definitely some good boosts and stuff there.
Yeah, there's always the risk-free same game parlay on FanDuel up to $10 for the nationally televised games. Make sure you opt in. You have to opt in and then bet now. If you don't opt in, you don't get your $10 back.
So those 2 games on Thursday are going to be the Grizz, who are the 3 seed, who actually been playing decent basketball but didn't win the other day, going to Boston, the 6 seed in the East, and then the number 9 seed in the West, which the Lakers, they need to. They
need to start winning.
They're playing the 8 seed in the Clippers. It's getting crunch time for them if they even want to be in the playoff game. And then Friday, ESPN, the number 5 seed in the East, the Bucks playing the 2 seed in the East, the Bulls, and the 12 seed in the East, the Knicks taking on the 1 seed in the West. The Suns at 10 o'clock on ESPN.
So if the Bucks beat the Bulls, that helps the Sixers.
That helps the Sixers.
Sixers are 3.
Yeah.
They got to catch the Heat at 1.
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. What we got? Saturday, we got the Warriors taking on the Lakers at 8. Steph going to LA and versus LeBron. The Saturday showcase. You know what's crazy is that's no matter what's going on with the Lakers, they're just interesting enough right now. When it's LeBron, you got LeBron. So
LeBron, yeah.
Sunday, the 1 o'clock game will be the Nets, the 8 seed, the Nets, which is crazy to say, versus at the 6 seed Celtics. But if they get, I don't think by Sunday they'll have everybody back. But if they start getting pieces back here soon. The Nets will be something to play with.
They suck. They're a bunch of soft ass.
I heard somebody, and I will say the rest of the...
Joel will average 40 in a series against them.
I hope so. I will say the rest of the games in a second, but the thing I heard about the Nets, I guess they're looking to play either 6 to 8 games together before the playoffs, and that's it. I don't think that's enough to get yourself
Please do
prepared.
that. Please do that.
That's what I was saying. Please.
Yeah, go ahead.
So anyways...
So that works out.
3:30, the Suns go to the Bucks, the number 5 seed. In the East,
that should be a good game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But Chris Paul.
Yeah, the number 7 seed, the Raptors in the East, going to the 4 seed Cavaliers, 7:30 ESPN.
Cavs, Bron, you could be number 4.
Crazy. How are the Cavs higher than LeBron James? When does that ever happen?
Because they all give a shit. They're all playing together, playing good ball, listening to the coach.
That is true.
They don't have a team GM.
The number 12 seed in the East.
I love you, Bron, but gosh.
Me too. Number 12 seed in the East, Knicks going to LA to play the Clippers, the 8 seed, 10 p.m. ESPN Sunday. Listen, I think that not just the national televised game, the Sixers have a bunch of games this week too, so I'm excited for the NBA here,
the
especially
NBA this week will be great.
As a Sixers fan. This has just been fantastic.
Yeah. Next.
Yeah.
All right, this is.
Yep. I will.
We need to as we grow, we need to get like a soundboard.
I agree.
Like when we got pay-per-views, it needs to be a boom.
Absolutely. We need lasers and absolutely not lasers. We need sirens.
This is like this coming weekend we got UFC 272 pay-per-view, Covington versus Masvidal. It is a welterweight battle of two really good strikers, really solid strikers. Colby Covington is a Pac-12 champion wrestler out of Oregon State, so he can get on the ground, he can get busy. Jorge Masvidal he came from the Kimbo Slice era, fighting in the streets of Miami.
I like him.
Jorge is
fighter.
Arguably one of the best strikers in the UFC.
Yeah.
Colby is 16-3, 3 knockouts, 5 submissions. Jorge is 35-15 with 16 knockouts and 2 submissions. But the main story here is this is real bad blood.
Yep.
These guys used to be best friends. They were a part of American Top Team together. They were always in each other's corner at every single fight. There's plenty of post-fight press conferences where Colby or Masvidal said, my best friend Colby, my best friend Jorge.
Okay.
Colby actually lived with Jorge Masvidal in Miami. They were best friends. And then as soon as Colby says, as soon as he started winning, him and Masvidal started falling off, and Masvidal kind of got jealous. I don't know if that's the case, or more of a Colby just became kind of like, hey, I'm the champ, get the fuck out of my way. Yep. And then there's rumor that Colby never paid Jorge's training coach after a fight purse, so it's real bad blood.
Okay.
There's some quotes coming out of some pre-fight interviews. They asked Jorge Masvidal what the New York Times is gonna say on Sunday morning, the headline, and he said something along the lines of Colby's in critical condition, might not make it. And Colby Covington said he's gonna knock him out, and he's gonna show the world that Jorge Masvidal's a bitch. So it's
real.
If you have time, tap into the pre-fight all accesses and things like that. They're very informative.
Yeah.
So that is March 5th. So that's Saturday night at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. My guy Bruce Buffer will be on the call.
Okay.
He'll be screaming, "It's time!"
Yeah.
We got the main event. So the main event card starts at 10 p.m. That's 5 fights. Prelim card starts on ESPN Plus at 8 p.m. If you have ESPN Plus, you'll be able to watch the prelims for free. If you don't have ESPN Plus, you won't be able to. But if you have ESPN Plus, you will also have to pay for the pay-per-view if you do want to watch.
Some people don't know that.
Yeah, so don't just get ESPN Plus because you think you can watch the fight. It's ESPN Plus 80. Just make sure you think about
it.
On the betting front, so FanDuel, that's who I go to. They didn't have any of the UFC boost out yet. Shout out my guys at Hammer Down. The running joke is UFC booster how we eat, and they never lose. Unfortunately, this past week with Makhachev, they had him by submission in round 1 or 2. He TKO'd. So the super boost unfortunately did not hit, but that's fine. We were still eating off some college basketball.
Yeah.
But this coming week, on the betting front, you got Colby Covington minus 325. So you got to lay some juice.
Yeah.
Go into it, pick it apart a little bit. Maybe if you pick Colby Covington by decision is what I think is going to happen. So I might sit out of this main money line card here, but I will certainly drop some gems outside of that. But what I did want to say is you can pick it apart and you can go down to if you think Colby's going to catch him in the 4th, it's like plus 900 or something like that. Or there's also ones where if you think Masvidal will win by knockout in rounds 2, 3, or 5. You can really build it out to get yourself anything minus 10. I would say up to minus 30 to anything plus money. Take, but do your research. Look into it. Most of Colby Covington's fights have been decisions, and most of Jorge Masvidal. Now, I'd say Jorge's is more because he's fought so many.
Yeah.
But Colby is oftentimes the fight goes a distance.
So you're taking Colby?
I'll take Colby in some creative fashion, maybe with another fight.
Not even just pick, like you're just picking him.
Yeah. I think Colby wins. A lot of people love Masvidal. A lot of people don't like Colby for who he is.
Yeah, I hear you. I get that.
I'm taking Colby. I think he's the better fighter. He's the more talented fighter.
So as a casual, I don't really know. I know about them too, but you know what I mean. Like I know a funny story about Masvidal. That's the only reason I've ever liked him in the first place. But the only person I really know that's really in UFC like you would also be picking Covington. I'm pretty sure I know that for a fact. So I think he's gonna win too. I'm a casual though. I don't know.
I'm talking shit. Colby, you're my guy this weekend. Jorge, you're gonna lose. When you lose, you gotta go fight Jake Paul.
That'd be a great.
Because I think my boy Jake Paul's gonna knock your ass out too.
I don't like the Jake Paul situation.
Said it.
But I've talked to you before about the Jake Paul stuff. I like what he puts on before his actual fights. So and Masvidal versus him would actually be interesting enough that
boxing, not UFC.
No,
please put the boxing gloves on. And what Jake is doing for the fighters and exposing.
That's where I'm at with that.
Exposing things. I don't think he's doing anything bad for the sport.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got the PGA Tournament. This is probably my favorite outside of the majors.
I was just saying, this is a big one.
This is the Arnold Palmer Classic. I always love it. I will certainly stop and get myself an Arnold Palmer at some point in time, Thursday through Sunday.
One of my coworkers actually has been to Bay Hill.
It's awesome. So it takes place this weekend, March 3rd to the 6th at Bay Hill Golf Course.
Yes, every year. Yep.
In Orlando, Florida. Overall, $12 million purse.
Yep.
You got the favorite as the number one ranked PGA golfer in the world, John Rahm, plus 800. He was a U.S. Open winner in 2021. He was third in the Open in 2021 and a top 10 in every major of 2021. So the guy's been hot. That's why he's the number one ranked golfer in the world. He's the betting favorite at plus 800. Best value. I had to dig back into my golf bag a little bit and kind of do a little bit of research. But Victor Hovland, plus 1,600. He's been solid. He's been there. He's fourth in the PGA Tour. He has three total tour wins in his career. Fourth place in the Genesis Open just a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And he was a top 15 finish. I'm sorry, in the Open in 2021. The guy's always hovering right in there in the top 10, especially as of late. So I think a best value. Plus 16.
I didn't know until directly before we started that that's who you picked, but I had shouted out that I liked his top 10 on DraftKings less than 30 seconds before I found out that you picked him. So I was like, oh nice, you know what I mean. So I think I'm gonna go with his finishes in the top 10.
Okay.
If I had to just pick one from the.
I think that was right around plus 400 or something.
Yeah, I forget what it was. Good though. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So NASCAR moving on this week, they go from Fontana in California to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which is owned by basically the same people that own Bristol and Texas and all that sort of stuff. And they've done a lot of really good stuff to Las Vegas and made it almost like a main staple track over the last couple of years. Kyle Larson won last year because he won everything last year. Jimmy Johnson did dominate at this track. He had 4 wins there. It's the most. Yeah. It's another 200 lap race. Stage 1 and 2, 80 laps each. Final stage 107, 400.
It's kind of weird how they break that up.
It is, but I'll actually explain that. It's because of the caution laps still count after the second, second stage caution laps. So when the way to get the most laps at the end is equaling out with the caution laps. It is weird though, and it never looks right. 400.5 miles technically. We didn't get anybody favorites or anything like that right now.
Yeah, it's not.
Listen,
there was nothing up, but please.
If I had to,
stay tuned.
If I had to throw any out there, listen, Kyle Larson's probably not going to be good value, but any of the Hendrick cars are always good. Mm-hmm. The RCR cars, the Richard Childress cars, Austin Dillon finished second. Tyler Reddick was leading most of the race last week. Okay. They're always good value. The only thing I would say right now is just stay away from the Toyotas. For whatever reason, the Toyotas in the Gen 7s at Daytona had a half decent showing, but they weren't. They had one. Denny Hamlin was in the top 10, but other than him, nobody was running.
Because Bubba drives a Toyota and he wasn't.
Nobody running. I think Kurt Busch was the only Toyota who finished in the top 10. I know Hamlin was in the top 10 for most of the race, but he didn't finish the top 10. So, like, the Toyotas, for whatever reason. So, I would say if you're, like, betting, I would just, and I like Truex, I like a lot of those drivers, but for whatever reason, they're not getting the same horsepower. So, I would just stay away from them betting until they figure that out. I would expect the Toyotas to be any time now picking it up, and you could probably see in qualifying if they do or not. But yeah, so that's the NASCAR preview.
And Hoodie will drop his flyer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have that out there whenever.
By Sunday morning?
Yeah, by Sunday morning. Heck, I might even throw in some flyer picks for the Xfinity race and whatnot because I follow all that. So
good stuff.
Another one. I mean, these are flying by.
Another one.
I've enjoyed our new segment. I like the previews of the weeks. Yeah. It's a good little kind of like refresh and able to
give you something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Definitely enjoyed doing the research and just kind of what goes into
Me too.
setup. I wish you guys could see our setup.
Me too.
We'll give you a little inside sneak peek at some point in time, so stay tuned to that. Like we touched on last week, I do want to get the Hoodie and Ozz pod social medias up and out there. Yeah. We are still full-time employees at our jobs.
Yeah.
So
we're humans doing it.
So things certainly take time, but that's one thing on our radar. I hope everyone liked the segment videos. Gives you a chance to tap into what you're interested in.
Yep.
A brief little snippet of it, or we always have the entire show as well. So a couple things that I did want to bring up. We're approaching our 5th show. So I say we do something like a mini giveaway for our 5th show. I don't know exactly what. So next week we'll have kind of some sort of little competition set up, and it'll probably last like a week, and then we'll pick a winner. And,
for sure.
And we'll go from there. So that'll be the Hoodie and Ozz pod first official giveaway. Kind of give back to you guys.
Please.
5 episodes in, I figure
it's a milestone.
We really start showing our love. And then the logo. We haven't really even touched base on it in conversation, but it will be something that we want to build up to. We want to build a hype to it, and certainly something that will be coming around, and then that will subsequently bring merch and things like that. So super excited. Things that goes on in Ozz's brain as he's driving to work.
I think one of my favorite parts of this is that everyone's going to grow with us. So, it's a raw, real experience.
That is
see us go from day one with no name to the first giveaway to the first logo. They're going to experience the journey with you and I, and that's the best part.
Yep, absolutely. And that's what I'm most excited for. That's what we want this to be. We want this to be somewhere where you guys can be like, hey, they're going to talk real shit. They're going to give me the info. But they're not gonna press anything on me. They're not gonna be too biased. And I'm gonna tune in every week.
And all the ones who are watching now, you can say you saw it from the ground up. So
I want to be on a rooftop.
Thank you.